It's a blessing to welcome on a player that's regarded as potentially the number one overall player in the class of 2021. He's now the ninth highest ranked commit in Duke history, Paolo Banchero. But first of all, what's it like just living in COVID year? How are you adjusting this?
It's wild for everybody, not just me. At all levels, all levels are affected. All sports are affected by this pandemic. So, you're just trying to stay sharp, stay in the gym, and then play when you can. But then also making sure that you're doing it safely. So it's been hard. Just everything's been hard. So um, yeah, I'm just trying to work through it.
And we know the big news. You are the number nine ranked highest commit in Duke history, and that's where we're going to be heading. But I want to go through this process a little bit because you are a guy that managed to do something a lot of guys cannot do today, and that's keep your recruiting really quiet, away from people knowing where you're going to go. And you kind of just popped up one day, going to Duke. Take us through how you're able to stay so low key throughout the process.
Yeah. I just I don't know. I just really didn't ever give anybody a hint on where I was leaning towards or where I was feeling the most. If anyone ever asked me about a school, I'd always, talk about that school. Kind of the same. I'd always talk about the schools, the same. I really wouldn't. Sometimes when people do an interview, you ask them about one school and you can tell they're not really feeling it. But you ask them about another school and you can tell they love it. So I was just trying to stay neutral with all the schools when talking about them. And yeah, I kept it, I just kind of kept my circle tight. I kind of would tell a couple people how I was feeling or stuff like that, but I wouldn't tell a lot of people. And the people I was telling wouldn't tell a lot of people or tell anyone. So yeah, it really wasn't even a focus of mine. It's just kind of how I ended up doing it. I just really just handled it kind of regularly, but ended up, being quiet, I guess. So that's how it worked out.
We look at Duke, and it's no really questioning why you want to go there. We know the track record, Coach K. We know who he's produced. But you do have a top six, and there was a lot of rumors about different places. One of which staying home, going to school like Washington, and being that hometown hero guy. But what schools really were in the final running for you besides Duke? Was there a number two, three option for you?
Yeah, nah, it was up until like July. It was like a four-way tie almost is how I would describe it. Duke, Kentucky, Gonzaga, and Tennessee.
Hmm.
Um, I loved all four of those schools. Obviously, Duke separated themselves like towards July, the end of July, which led me to commit. But nah, before that, and the whole time before that, yeah, it was Duke, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Gonzaga. Those was my four.
And Coach K always likes to have a small forward, a power forward that really is the centerpiece, the focal point of his offense and his team. We see Zion, Marvin Bagley, Vernon Carey last year, Brandon Ingram, the list goes on. You're going to be that guy who's going to use to fill now. You're going to kind of be that guy he builds his team around that forward spot. How do those people go in there and follow this guy's legacy?
Yeah, just go in there and immediately, get to work. Don't come in there feeling me. My thing is, I'm not gonna come in there, feeling entitled to anything, feeling like I already, deserve something. I'm gonna come in there and work for everything. I'm not gonna act like, that I'm entitled to anything out there. So that's my big thing. And then yeah, just play my game, play with confidence. I know the coaches believe in me. I believe in myself. So just play hard, play with confidence, be a good teammate, and everything should fall into place.
The season's not off to the best start, probably what Coach K and the team want right now. And we'll see if that gets better. We know COVID's got a big excuse for a lot of different stuff, but your class is already looking pretty solid. You, AJ, both right now. I know we hear the rumors between guys like Patrick Baldwin and other guys, but who are kind of the main guys you guys are pursuing? Who would you like to pair up with you at Duke?
Yeah, the main two that I know they're still pursuing is Trevor Keels and Patrick Baldwin. Um, so yeah, those are two. I talked to them. I talked to Patrick yesterday. Checked up on him. He got hurt, so I checked up on him. And then Trevor, I talked to as well. So just those two, keeping a solid relationship with those two. I would love to play with both of them. Um, and I think we're in a good spot for both of them. So we'll see.
I want to talk about your overall personality, your character. And first time I watched you was at the Pangos All American thing at Arizona, and you just have this kind of attention thing where you walk around, you know that you are the best player. You believe that you're the best player on the court wherever you go. Why do you feel so confident knowing that you are the most dominant guy in the country and whenever step on a court?
Yeah, I think it's just like, it's not really cockiness, but it's just like believing in my abilities and me believing that there isn't someone who can do there might be a better scorer than me, there might be a better passer than me, there might be a better um, rebounder than me, but there isn't. I don't think there's anyone who can do it all together better than me. I think I'm the best all around player in the country, and so just having that, and then just playing with swag. Not cockiness, but just swag. Like just being confident in yourself, not being timid when you step on the court. Attacking from the tip, making plays, rebounding. Being a good teammate, all that stuff. And then obviously, like when you perform well, people take notice, and then they know who you are. So when I walk in the gym, people know who I am, and they can know what I'm bringing to the table. So I think that's where a lot of that comes from. And yeah,
That is a fine line for a lot of people, and you do a great job at that. And that is the cockiness and the confidence aspect. And we know guys that take the cocky route, it usually doesn't work out always. We see them fall off at some point in their career. But that confidence is a crucial thing to anyone being successful. How have you learned to balance that, though? How would you take the confidence approach as opposed to cockiness?
yeah, I would just say kind of like what you said, seeing other players take the cockiness route and not working out just over the years, really in any sport. There's obviously some players, who are cocky or whatever. I don't even have a problem with cocky players. Like, I actually respect cocky players. If you can talk, the way, you talk and still perform at that level, like I got a lot of respect for you. So, but yeah, just me, it's just my personality. Um, I'm a very confident person, but I'm not really a cocky person. I just, you know, believe in myself, but I'm never trying to put anyone down or, you know, I'm not trying to say you know, that I'm better than anybody or anything like that. But I also don't think there's nobody better than me. But I also have a lot of respect for my peers. So that's how it works for me.
You've matched up against players of all different kind of levels all over the place. Who has been the hardest guy to go up against? And not even that, just who's maybe been the best trash talker or the guy that kind of plays with most swagger, confidence that you've played against?
Yeah. Best overall player, or I would say the hardest player I've ever had to guard. Was probably Kevin Porter Jr. Um, we he's from Seattle, and we played. Our high schools are in the same conference, so we played him. We played them. We played Rainier Beach 3 times my freshman year, and yeah, I had to guard him. Um, and yeah, he was a lot to deal with. And he's an NBA now, and he's killing it. So I mean, obviously, but we all knew that he was a freak in high school. Everyone knew he was a pro. And he didn't really have any national recognition until that one play that went viral, where he went behind his back and dunked on the dude. But before that, everyone knew Kevin Porter was the one. So I say he was the hardest to guard. He was also a good trash talker too. But I would say the best trash talker, or like the cockiest or best trash talker.
Mhm.
I wouldn't say the cockiest, but the best trash talker. I don't know. I There's a lot of trash talkers I've ran into, but a lot of them, weren't that good.
Mhm.
A lot of them just trash talking. They'd make one play or something. But like I'd say the best player who's a trash talker, I'd probably say I'd probably say Kevin Porter.
Mhm.
Just yeah, just because he knew I was a freshman, he knew who I was. I mean, he knew I was a freshman, so he was just going after me. Kind of he was just talking trash. But he knew I wasn't backing down, so like he respected me for that. But yeah, he for sure tried to go after me.
I want to get into Seattle, Washington. I think that they need to be regarded as one of the better cities. And you look at the track record of the history guys that have played in the NBA, even retired now the up and coming guys. What's that just like growing up out there? What's it like playing basketball in Seattle?
Yeah, it's playing basketball in Seattle is great. Like everybody, it's real big here. Like some states or cities are football and baseball or whatever. Seattle's by far definitely a basketball state or city. Washington, although we have a lot of good football players too.
Mhm.
Uh, but yeah, no, it's a strong culture, and everyone, all the pros, they come back and they give back and they give advice. I pretty much have every pro's phone number to come out of Seattle almost, or have some way to contact them. Like, and I've talked to them before, like every single one, like you name it, I've talked to them. So yeah, they just, they do it, just out the goodness of their heart. They just come back because they want to, not because they feel like they have to, because they want to and they want to help. So for me, being the up and coming one, it's really helped me a lot. It's helped me a lot, over the years. And so yeah, I hope to, or I know, but I'm gonna do the same thing. You know, when I make it, hopefully, you know, I'm able to do the same thing that they do.
And you mentioned how these guys come back, and every single guy I've interviewed from back there talk about these guys, like all these pros that come back and kind of take you guys under their wing, mentor you guys, work out with you guys. How critical has that been for your development?
It's been pretty critical. You know, I've been countless times where, you know, Jamal Crawford's texted me and been like, "Hey, you want to come? You want to get in the gym? Yeah, come picks me up, takes me to the gym. We go hoop, like just like that. Like it's not even really like that's really all it is. You know, I've been to Zach Levine's house and worked out with his dad, um, and stuff like that. So like it's literally like that's all it is. Like it's nothing really. It's like they just, you know, just reach out to me and you know, do it. And it's never no extras. It's not no cameras. You know, they're not doing it for cameras or notoriety. They do it just because, you know, they want to help me out, help others out. I'm not the only one who they reach out to either. That's the good thing. Yeah, it's been a big help for sure, for sure.
When you're in the NBA in 10, 15 years and the next generation's up and coming, how do you feel to go back and help them?
Oh yeah, for sure. I already like, you know, when little kids and stuff come up to me, I love talking to them. I love, you know, interacting with them. So yeah, that's definitely going to be something I do a lot. You know, helping out my community, giving back to the community, coaching. I want to be, you know, a coach after I'm done playing. So yeah, just coming back, you know, and the next generation, you know, it's not going to stop. You know, Seattle's only getting more notoriety and they're only getting better as far as basketball goes. So I know coming up, there's going to be more pros and more D1 guys coming up, you know, after me. So just helping them out and you know, showing them the ropes when I get there.
I want to go a little bit more into Jamal Crawford. He's a guy that is regarded in the NBA as one of the better leaders in the NBA, one of the better just people to play in the NBA before. What's some of the stories you have with him? Is there maybe one or two stories that come to mind at first when you think about him?
Yeah, Jamal. Yeah, anyone who knows Jamal knows that Jamal is like the most giving person. Like he's the most giving person I know, like ever. Like if you're with Jamal, like he's paying. He doesn't want you paying for nothing. Like he gonna pay for your food or he gonna pay for this. He gonna pay for that. Like I got a couple stories. Like I think one of the first times I think I was like a freshman or it was like the summer going into my sophomore year. He picked me up. We went to the gym, and then he was like, "You want something to eat?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." He said, "Where you want to go?" I was like, "Subway." Okay, so we go on to Subway, and then he was like, "Well, call your family. You know, call your family, see if they want something to eat." And I was like, okay." So I call my family or call my little sister, and I'm like, "Yo, you want anything to eat? You want me to bring home some food?" She was like, "Yeah, can you bring home so and so?" Or I was like, "I'm going to Subway. Um, do you want anything?" And she was like, "Yeah, I want this and that." And then I was like, "All right, ask my little brother what you want, what he want." So then he was like, "I don't really want Subway." And Jamal heard him. He was on speaker. He was like, "Oh, well, what does he want? What does he want?" I was like, "Well, what do you want?" And then he was like, "McDonald's." And I was like, "Well, that's not really close." And he was like, Jamal was like, "No, it's fine. It's fine. Like we'll get him into McDonald's. Just ask him what he wants from there." So then whatever. So he took me to Subway, got my Subway, got my sister's, and then he drove me to McDonald's and got McDonald's for my little brother. Um, so like that's just and there's more. Like he's taken me to the mall before and bought my little brother shoes. Like it's this is just so many. So, there's a lot of stories like that, but that's one that stood out to me because that was my first. That was like one of the first times me going to the gym with him, and that was kind of one of the first times I was like, wow, like he really just you know is a genuine person. You know, he went out of his way to first take me to get something to eat, and then asked me if my sister wanted anything, got her food, and then drove to McDonald's to get my little brother his food, and then drove me home. So yeah, he's a great person.
When you look at off the court, what's some of the stuff he's helped you in mentor wise that you've kind of learned from him of how to handle yourself, conduct yourself off the court?
Yeah, just just being a good person, I think, is the main thing. You know, he always tells me like money. He says his sister told him this. His big sister told him this that money, you know, money only enhances like the kind of person you are. So if you're a jerk, if you get a lot of money, if you become a millionaire, you're only gonna become more of a jerk. You know, if you're a great person, if you're a giving person like him, you know, if you get millions of dollars, you gonna only become more giving of a person. You're gonna become more of a, you know, caring person. So just him, just telling me, always be a good person. I mean, he never turns down pictures. He never turns down autographs, no matter where he's at. Like he'll be at a basketball game watching his son play, and he'll have 50 kids lined up, to take pictures with him. And I promise you, he'll take a picture. But every single one of them sign whatever they want. And yeah, so that's just how he is, and that's what he tells me to do. Just because that can, even though it's nothing to him or it's nothing to me, like that can make that kid's day or their week, their year. Like you never know. And then turning it down or saying no, that could ruin the kid's day or ruin his year, ruin his whatever. So that's what the main thing he preaches to me is just being a good person.
Now, this younger generation, we look at there's a lot of guys that have pro potential. You're ahead of it, obviously. You and Marjan, I'd say both kind of guys that are near locks for it. Nolan's right up there. Shane, Tari's looking good. Corin, and this list just goes on. What's the future hold in terms of NBA and even college? What's the future hold of how many Seattle guys will be playing at the next levels?
Oh, it's a lot like you said. Tari's at Cincinnati. I think he's going to do really good there. Marjan's obviously taking his own unique route, and I think he'll be successful as well. And then me, Shane, and Nolan. We've been best friends. So this is all stuff that we dreamed of since we was all best friends when we were little. So now that we're living it out, and all three of us are not satisfied. We all want to be NBA players. So we're not just happy that we're going to big blue blood schools and big time universities. Like we want to be pros. So we're still working and pushing each other and rooting for each other. And then yeah, the younger guys, Corin, Jaylen Stewart. I don't know if you know who that is, but he's a really really good player. 2023, he's coming up. Um, he's going to be very very good. And just a lot more. There's a lot more. A lot more just even outside of Seattle who play for Rotary. Tacoma, that's another city where Isaiah Thomas, Avery Bradley are all from. Yeah, so there's a lot of young talent that's coming up. So it's exciting for sure.
You mentioned Marjan's approach, and you guys have so much more power these days. We see the G League route, we see just training, college. There's so many different routes, soon to be going straight to the NBA out of high school. And that's something I want to ask you a little bit about too. We know Duke's where you're going right now, but I already know that the G League had to offer you, had to look into, talk to you. How close were you ever to considering them? Was that ever even a realistic option for you? Discuss the G League option.
Yeah, I got approached about it. I knew I had a prior relationship with Sharif Abdul Rahim, who's kind of like one of the main guys behind it. He works for the NBA. I had kind of knew him since like seventh grade. So my dad, he reached out to my dad, and talked to him about it. Uh, and we talked about it. We considered it, but we figured that, or for me at least, we figured that college was the best option, the better option for me. I'm not saying it's not for other players, but for me it was. Um, and yeah, I mean, it really wasn't a hard decision or a super long thought out process. It was just kind of we considered all the whatever all the things and weighed the options and figured college would be the best.
You had that top six, and you said there was really four schools in the running. Would the G League have been that final six if that was something you actually put out there, top four, or would they not really have been any kind of consideration?
Yeah, I had already had decided that I wasn't going to do that by then. So yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I also want to touch upon your football aspect because that's something you did pursue for a little bit, and you were going to be a Division I player too if you decide that route. But take us
hmm
through that. What really led to the separation of basketball and football, and why you ultimately chose basketball?
Yeah, I think my height was the main reason. You don't ever see a 6'10" and a half, 6'10" quarterback. So like that would have looked weird because I looked like a giant out there on the field my freshman year, and I was only like 6'7". So I looked like a giant. So like now I can't even imagine what it would look like. It would just look out of place. Um, but also I just kind of fell out of love with it. Just I always loved the game. Like the games were always fun, but just practice and everything that went into it, all that stuff, I just kind of fell out of love with it. But I definitely enjoyed my football years. I don't regret any of it. So yeah, I love playing football. I love watching football. I love talking about football. Like I love football. I just didn't kind of fell out of love with the work that went into playing it. So that's what kind of fell into my decision to stick with basketball.
You grew up in a family background that had both aspects. Your dad played college football, so your uncle did. Your mom, Washington's all-time leading scorer. Just what was it like there just growing up in a family that really was involved in basketball, football, and just overall athletics?
Yeah, it was great. Like I mean, my mom was a coach. Um, she coached for a community college when I was a young kid. Like up until I was like 5 or 6, she was a community college coach, and then she went to high school coach and was a coach at a high school, and they were a powerhouse in 3A. They won a state championship and then they lost another one, but they were real good for a lot of years. And I was at practice every day after school, just shooting around. Always staying after practice with my mom, working on fundamentals. Even if I didn't want to stay, she'd make me stay. I would always do my homework during practice, and then whenever I finished, we'll go out in the gym and then stay after. And honestly, like sometimes I didn't want to when I was a young kid. You're a young kid. You don't want to just, you don't want to work on it. You don't want to work on fundamentals with your mom, like every day. But she made me, and it paid off. Also, my sister's goddad was the head coach. My mom was the assistant. My sister's goddad was the head coach. So both of them are family. So it was just, I mean, I was always around the game. And then as far as football, I started playing when I was 6 or 7.
Mhm.
My dad, took me in the backyard, put the pads on me. We worked on hitting drills, and then I was playing football. Like it was just, I don't know. I just kind of, and I, just loved it off rip. So, um, yeah, it was pretty fun growing up being a child with two parents who was college athletes.
Another thing that I know is kind of controversial for you is the position aspect. And you're a guy that I think could dominate really at the power forward, center spot if someone wanted to run you there. And I think eventually, after a little bit more development, especially with Coach K, the small forward, something you'll be running pretty soon too. But take us through your position. Where do you prefer being used at? Where do you think you're your best at?
Yeah, I usually like playing with I usually like playing with another big, like Caden. Like me and Caden, it was perfect
Mhm.
because he it's like another big. Like we can play off each other. He's the more athletic, rebound, defense, dunks, and I'm more skilled. All that stuff. But we can both defend. We're both athletic. We both rebound. So I would say power forward. But I just play wherever really. I mean, I'm no matter where I am playing my position, like no matter if I start at center, if I start at small forward, if I start at power forward, or if I start anywhere else, I'm gonna play my game. So
Mhm.
um, I feel like that's just how I am. So I don't really worry too much about the position. I just don't like it when, people consider me and say, "Oh, I'm just a back to the basket player, or just a back to the basket center who just dunks all the time." Like that's what some people say, and that's just not my game. Like honestly, I wasn't even like my early years of high school. I wasn't even that athletic. Like I really couldn't even jump that high. And then I obviously did work on my body and stuff, got me more athletic. But like really, dunking was never my thing until like the past year. So I was always a more skilled player. Like that's what I was always known for, was my skills. So when people kind of box me in as a like back to the basket rebounder or something like that, that always kind of irks my nerves a little bit, just because skill is what I pride my game on.
Take us through the development of your game because that is something that I do like about you and why I think that you're going to translate for and have a really long NBA career because you can run a couple few different positions, but you can pretty much do all things on the court. Like I want you to back up and score that way. You can space it out to the three. You can really do a lot of things. And so, who are some of the guys that you kind of like model your game after? Who are some players that you kind of take pieces from and kind of put into your game?
Yeah, I take pieces from a lot of players. Like all I did growing up was hop on the computer and watch highlights and mixtapes and all types of stuff growing up. Like, that's all I did. Like luckily I grew up like I didn't have an Instagram till I was 14. So that whole time, growing up, I didn't have social media. I just was on YouTube, which I guess is social media. But I was just on YouTube, watching highlights, just picking up, just seeing something and then going out and trying it at the gym or outside on my hoop. Like that's just how I grew up, just seeing something, trying to go try it, add it to my game. And I still do that. Like so but a lot of players I watch and pick stuff from, Carmelo, his mid post game, um, Anthony Davis, LeBron. Um, you know, those are like the main ones that I watch. But there's a lot of players that I like to watch that like necessarily don't. I don't really play like them, or they're not really my position. But I like watching them because I like taking like a move here and there or a certain thing here and there from their game. I like watching a lot of guards. I like watching Tracy McGrady. just because those players are fun to watch, and you never know. Like, you might see some that you might be able to do that you could use. So I always try and watch players.
Now, you personally, when you look at the overall projection, we know that NBA is going to be in the future. That's ultimately your biggest goal. You got about a year and a half or so till you can be eligible for that. What do you think you need to work on, improve on, so that you're ready to go and become a top pick in the draft?
hmm I think my biggest area of improvement has been my 3-point shot over this quarantine. Like, I haven't really got a chance to really step out and play a lot of places besides like Pangos. But my 3-point shot is much improved. I've always had good shooting form, but it was just kind of a matter of me locking down on my little mechanics, and my using my legs. And I think I've done a much better job of that. So I think my 3-point shot's much improved, and I also think that it has a lot more improving to do. Like, for my NBA, um, some value in stock or whatever you want to call it. I think my biggest area of improvement is my 3-point shot going forward.
Coming into high school, you kind of already were a guy that people knew was special. We knew you had a bright career and a bright future ahead. And you've been able to not only maintain being a top guy, but you've now cemented yourself as debatably the number one overall player in the country. How have you been able to consistently stay through that and continue to rise and get better and better while having that target on your back since such a young age?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I didn't really like my middle school years and grade school years. No one really knew who I was. Um, I was good. Like, I was good. We went to the national tournaments where I played well, but like, I wasn't no internet sensation or anything like that. I just was hooping. But yeah, I think a big part was me playing 17 EYBL as a freshman. Um, that kind of put me on the map. No one kind of knew who I was, and they saw me, and then they was like, "Well, who's number 5?" And then they looked in the little roster and they saw I was a freshman, and they're like, "Oh my God, who's that?" Just because I was so big and skilled, and putting up good numbers, against 17U competition as a 15-year-old. So uh, I would say like that, and then just not ever getting satisfied or complacent. Like, high school rankings don't really matter that much. Like, you see a lot of top players, who are ranked high in high school, fall off and don't even touch the NBA, and don't really have good college careers. So high school rankings, like, I know that they don't really mean too much. So I'm not even really paying attention to them and not worrying about them. Like, I'm just working on my game, trying to better myself, keep working on myself, and that just, I guess, that leads to me staying on top of the rankings, which is a blessing, just to be regarded as a top 3 player.
Playing up a few years, especially at an elite AAU level, is not something a lot of guys can do. You'd be able to go out there and do that, though. What kind of went into that? I know a lot of guys would rather think that staying my level, I can dominate, score a bunch of points, makes me look better. But you take the opposite approach. You say, I want to go push myself and still produce, but I want to push myself. What gave you that kind of mindset?
Yeah, I think just thinking big picture, a lot of people, want to play their age, which there's nothing wrong with that. Like,
Mhm.
playing your age, there's nothing wrong with that. But like me, like, I knew I could go dominate as a freshman on 15U. I knew the next year I could have played 16U and dominated. Like, I knew that. I probably would have, probably would have more followers, or been maybe even more highly touted if I played my age, just because I would dominate. But like, that really didn't matter to me. I just wanted to do what would make me better. And if I didn't think I could play 17U as a freshman, I wouldn't have did it. But I believed in myself, and I thought that I could play at that level, and that's how I went into it. I went into it with a lot of confidence, and a lot of belief in myself. We had a good team, with a lot of other good players. Jay McDaniels was on that team. A lot of other D1 players were on that team, and yeah, I played. I mean, I played good, and it worked out.
A few more things I want to touch up on is a little bit off the court stuff. One is that in the past year, we know all the stuff going on with Black Lives Matter and the police brutality. And I like seeing a lot of the guys step up and speak out about it. And you have been a guy that was not just speaking on social media, doing stuff like that. You went out in public, you spoke, you did a lot of different things in the community. What gave you that confidence and what really instilled you to become a leader throughout these times?
Yeah, just using my platform to the best of my ability. Just using it for something other than basketball, other than promoting myself. Trying to promote a bigger cause, and because obviously there's a big issue in America that needs to be fixed. So me just trying to do my little part and trying to help that, whether that's going to a protest and holding up signs or, you know, making a post, like anything, just raising awareness.
And you shared the story out there as well about you being held at gunpoint before with Noah. Kind of take us through that a little bit and really ultimately what did you learn from that? What did you come away with that kind of helped you kind of in a way make you the man you are today?
Yeah, I was a young. It was actually during the summer we was playing AAU. It was in June, so we wasn't playing AAU. That was before the new AAU schedule came out. That was like the time where you was with your high school teams and you wasn't playing AAU. So yeah, me and Noah was just at a concert, and yeah, we got held at gunpoint because they thought we stole a car, which we didn't. It was Noah's car or his sister's car, but he was driving it. And yeah, it was a it was a crazy situation. I learned a lot. Kind of woke me up to like, hey, this is a real world. I was only 15, so I hadn't really seen too much yet. Well, actually, I take that back. I've seen a lot, but like,
Mhm.
I never been held at gunpoint.
Yeah.
Like I've seen shootouts and stuff like that, but I never had a gun, to me.
Mhm.
So that was something. But yeah, it taught me a lot. But yeah, I try not to, dwell on it too much. It was something that happened. But I don't hate the police or anything because of
Yeah.
it. I just, it's just it. But, I do believe that there are police officers out there who are, they kind of abuse their power and stuff like that. So, um, yeah, that's kind of my thing on it.
Without a doubt. We know you also take pride in your Italian background, and that's where you've been able to now become an Italian citizen. You're gonna be able to play FIBA and eventually hopefully play in the Olympic team. Kind of take us through that. What's it like being a dual citizen and kind of having that heritage behind you?
Yeah, it's good. I haven't really, I'm trying to learn more about it. I don't know too much about it. I'm trying to learn more. Um, but yeah, it's good. It's unique. It's cool, honestly, to be able to be a dual citizen. Um, and I know there's some perks of it that I haven't really got to experience yet. But I know as I grow up and get older, there's some perks from that. But yeah, it's cool. I'm take pride in it. Represent Italy, um, all the way in Seattle. So yeah, I'm proud to be Italian for sure.
Long term now, we know you're a guy that will be potentially a candidate to play with the Italian team in the Olympics if that's the next time or even the following Olympics after that. Do you plan on wanting to play for the Italian team, United States team? Where do you kind of play or going that route?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I'm not sure yet. I just gotta. It's something I'm not really thinking about right now. But it's the decision that I'll make for sure.
Well, a few more things before I let you go. One of which is that we do know a lot more guys in this 2021 class look at going to campus a little bit earlier, rather be in a couple of weeks for you guys in the spring. Do you plan on wanting to head out to Duke earlier, enroll a little bit earlier, or do you kind of plan to wait out the season and graduate and get there on usual time?
Yeah, I'm gonna get there at usual time. My school, that O'Day, doesn't let you do like accelerated classes. Like, they don't let you graduate early, or else I probably would have did something like that. But um, yeah, so I'm gonna get there at regular time.
And one thing I was like wrapping up with is discussing legacy. And I think every player wants to create a legacy for themselves for what they do on and off the court. So when you are done playing basketball someday, what do you ultimately want to be remembered for? What do you want your legacy to be for what you do both on and off the court?
Yeah, on the court, I want to be remembered as one of the best. I want to be remembered as the greatest to come out of Seattle. I want to be remembered as a Duke great. Um, and I want to be remembered as an NBA great. I want to be a champion and all that good stuff. But I got to take it one step at a time. Not look too far ahead. Just keep it, one goal at a time. So right now I'm focused on if we have a high school season, winning the state championship, and then obviously if we get to Duke, um, winning the ACC and national championship, and so just going, about my goals, one at a time. And then off the court, I want to be known as like, one just a good person. Like, I know a lot of pro athletes who are obviously great players, but they're known as not the best people. Um, so I don't want to have that reputation. Like, I want to have something similar to Jamal's. Whenever someone sees me out in public, I want them to know, like, hey, if someone sees Jamal in public, in Seattle, especially, they know they can go up to him and ask for a picture, or ask for an autograph. Like, they might be scared, but they know what kind of person he is, so they know they're not going to get a disrespectful answer or anything like that. So I kind of want to have that same reputation, like people, looking at me and knowing I'm a good person, and knowing that they can ask me any question, or ask me for anything.
So, man, well, I definitely appreciate you taking time to come on today, and I can't wait to see what God got next for you, man.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Of course, always welcome on, man. God bless.
You too, bro.